body to the University of Dubuque Safety and Security Forum. First up, we're going to have Quincy Buffkin, who's going to talk about stand up against violence. Following him will be Ross from Security, talking about safety on the UD campus. After him, we will have Lieutenant Baxter of the Dubuque Police Department, who's going to talk to you about internet safety and security, followed by a question and answer portion. Then we're going to have a prayer reflection from Reverend Jim Gunn, and then we'll have a closing by a Saudi student representative. Quincy.
Thank you, Sam.
So I'm Quincy Buffkin. One of my positions is the area coordinator for basketball. Also teach a class with some of my students over here, Worldview. And also I'm the liaison representative for international students from Residence Life. Right? So earlier, in the summertime, we started to work on a Stand Up Against Violence video. And it was targeted more towards sexual assault. And we have a Title IX policy that we have to abide by. But in lieu of that, we made a video against violence. But this is against all types of violence. But it was targeted more towards violence towards women. But in all, we don't tolerate violence at all on campus or anywhere else. So this is in support of that mission in Title IX. So.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Bullock, and I want to welcome you to the University of Dubuque. As a faith-based school, one of the things that we believe is incredibly important is creating an environment and a culture here where all God's people are respected. People from different races and ethnicities, genders and orientation. We believe that all people belong on this campus. And one of the ways that we like to think about that is creating a culture where people feel safe, where they feel at home. And the best way we can do that is for all of us to be leaders in opposition to the kind of violence that many people experience every day of their lives in this country and this world. So I want to invite all of you as members of our university community to take a stand against violence, particularly violence against women. Be smart, stand up, work together, be kind to people, be supportive of people. And when you experience violence or experience somebody else who's being bullied or not treated in the way that they should be treated, I want you to join me and to join all of us into helping show people a different way, a better way, where we can celebrate the uniqueness and the diversity of all of us as part of God's wonderful creation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark Ellison, and I am the Chief of Police for the Dubuque Police Department. I can guarantee you the men and women of the Dubuque Police Department are taking a stand against violence.
I'm standing up 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 against violence.
My name is Jesse James, and I'm a Senior Associate Vice President here at the University of Dubuque. All of us want a healthy relationship in our lives, but we're all at risk to finding ourselves into unhealthy relationship. That's what my daughter did, and I lost a daughter who found her way into an unhealthy relationship, and she sought out help, sometimes in the right places, sometimes not in the right places. Some ignored her, some reached out to help. Make sure you reach out for help if you sense that you're entering a relationship that has unhealthy signs. Make sure you reach out for help. We're here to help you because we stand up against violence against women.
I'm standing up against violence.
I'm standing up against violence.
We're standing up against violence.
I am standing up against violence.
My name is Vic Miyamoto. I'm the Vice President Dean of Student Life here at the University of Dubuque. I also have the privilege to work as a volunteer assistant football coach. So some of you know me as Coach Mick as well as Dean Mick and Dr. Mick. But today we're talking about sexual violence and taking a stand against it. quote that comes to mind for me is one from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he said, "What hurts the most are not the words of our enemies, but rather the silence of our friends." Now, we know that the vast majority of men aren't perpetrators of violence, but we also know a large percentage of us have been bystanders when we've heard language used that is either sexist, racist, or homophobic. And we know that those words unchecked and unchallenged can lead to harassing behaviors and even sometimes violence and assault. So what we're asking you to do is to please join us in taking a stand against violence and challenge those around us when it's appropriate in an assertive way. You know, the mission at the University of Dubuque calls for us to be a place where diversity is appreciated and Christian love is practiced. Let's live that.
Spartan Nation, stop the violence. I'm standing up against violence. Get involved. Add your voice and take a stand.
We are standing up against violence.
Let's make it our issue. Together, we can make a difference.
I'm standing up against violence.
Silence does not mean yes.
Silence is not the same as yes.
Silence does not mean yes.
Yes has no meaning,
If no has no power.
has no power.
No means no.
No means no.
No means no.
Stand up against violence.
Stand up against violence.
Stand up against violence.
Stand up.
Stand up, stand up.
Stand up against violence.
Stand up against violence.
So any questions for me with regards to the video and what you've seen? All right, well, Ross, on safety and security.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. I'm here from safety and security to make sure our job in security is to all right. Security is present here on the campus 24 hours a day, okay? We're always here. There's always someone here. Security patrols are done by foot as well as vehicle on campus, okay? We are here to assist you in security-related issues 24 hours a day. If you have a problem, you have a question, call security. Our dispatcher will either try and answer it or send the supervisor or one of the security officers to come and assist you. Okay, Dubuque Fire and Police response to campus is 3 to 10 minutes. We have a fire station that's less than a quarter mile from here. Dubuque Police are normally on patrol in the area and they have a quick response time. Security officers, since we are here on campus, we have a 3 to 7 minute response time. Normally it's going to be quite a bit less than that, depending on where we are, but just know that if we're coming from North Campus, headed all the way to Park Village, it could take a few minutes, especially if the officer is walking. Okay? Travel in pairs at night. Walk together. We do have day and nighttime shuttle. Make sure that you are aware of it. Check the schedule to see what times it's going to be at what locations. We do have the shuttle running. The shuttle runs from 7 a.m. in the morning till 9:45 at night. Okay, at 9:45 he goes to fuel up. Saturdays, it's available from 12 to 5 p.m. This is strictly for off-campus runs like out to Walmart and to the mall and stuff. Shuttle does not operate on Sundays. Security escorts. Security is here to assist you. If you have a problem, you don't feel safe, call us. We will come and assist you. We'll walk you to class. We'll walk you to a building. If you're walking from a building into a parking lot where you don't feel safe or secure walking out there, call us. We're more than happy to stop what we're doing and come and assist you. Okay? Since there's only 3 or 4 of us on duty at one time, you need to help us. You can help us by, if you see something that looks a little weird, call security, notify them, and they'll send an officer to take a look at it and see what's going on. Okay? We can't be everywhere. We do have cameras over quite a bit of quite a large portion of campus that can see most everywhere, but we still need your assistance. If you see something that looks funny, call us, we'll go check it out. Okay? Our job here is to provide a safe learning environment for you. Okay? The only way we can do that is if we either see it or you report it to us and we go check it out. So make sure, don't be afraid of us. We're here to help you. Okay? Call us. Our number is 589-3333. Do not hesitate to call us. That's it. Any questions?
What are the blue lights for around campus?
You'll see poles with blue lights on top. Those are for emergency situations. If you find yourself, you don't have your cell phone, you drop your cell phone, you need help, go up, push one of the red buttons on there. That will call a security dispatcher. The dispatcher will then dispatch an office to that location to help you. Yes. Yes. Yes, it's area code 563-589-3333. And that will get you our dispatcher. If it turns out that we don't have a dispatcher, it'll be a security officer that answers the phone. Got it?
We'll email it
563
to
area
them.
code 589 3333. Any other questions?
If they call and report an incident to you, let's say they see someone breaking into a car, and they call and report that to you,
Yes?
will that person have a problem? The person who's reporting that? Will they have to go to the police station? Will they have to go to the court? What, if they do report something they see, can they do it without giving their name?
Yes. You can do it through anonymity, where you're not known to the perpetrator. Normally, in our judicial system here on campus, we deal with student life, who will keep your identity a secret from the person who was caught doing it. If it turns out that it is police, that's an entirely different situation. If it's a police involvement with a situation, the chances are that the perpetrator will know your identity, especially when it goes to court. I can guarantee you, we are here for your safety. Okay, we will do everything humanly possible to keep you safe. Any other questions? All right. All right, sir.
Good afternoon. First of all, thanks for having me. As mentioned, my name is Scott Baxter. I'm a Dubuque police officer. I've been with the Dubuque Police Department for almost 18 years now. I'm going to talk a little bit about what Ross talked about already. I'm going to go in a little bit more detail on some of it. I'm also going to move very quickly, so I apologize if I'm moving a bit too fast, but I have a lot of material I want to cover in a short amount of time. Now, if there are questions or concerns that we either don't have time for today, or you don't feel comfortable asking in front of everybody, you can always contact me. You can call me or email me anytime you'd like. I have some brochures I'm going to pass out as well, and some business cards. I may not have enough for business cards, but like I said, feel free to write down my information and contact me anytime, okay? I want to share with you a little bit about, I understand there's some concerns about crime in our community right here in Dubuque. This slide is a little bit busy. It's got a lot of numbers, a lot of facts and figures on it. But what I'll draw your attention to, this is our crime trend in the last 6 years here in Dubuque, okay? Some of these numbers seem a bit high, kind of alarming. Keep in mind with these numbers, these are all crimes reported. Not all of them are founded or verified. Some are false reports, things like that. But you get a general idea of how we have been trending in the last 6 years. The numbers in green over here show a decline. I associate green with good, so it's a slight decline. The red shows an increase. which is obviously what we don't want to see. The good news is the majority of what you see up here is green, so we're trending in the right direction. By the way, if anybody wants a copy of this presentation, I can get that for you as well. Just don't hesitate to ask. Here's your average, your 6-year average, again compared to 2013. Obviously, we don't have 2014 stats compiled yet, but again, just to give you a general idea of the trend up here as well. A lot of these crimes that you're seeing up here are preventable. That's a big part of my job, is going out in the community and talking about how do we prevent these things from happening, how do we keep you guys safe. We want you not only to feel safe here in the community, we want you to feel welcome, okay? And like Ross mentioned, that's part of my job too, is keeping everybody safe. So I'm going to discuss some various recommendations that you can do in your lives to keep yourselves a little bit safer. Anytime we talk about crime in my profession, we talk about 3 basic components of a crime. The criminal has to have the ability to commit the crime, the desire, and the opportunity. So in my job, what I do in the public is try to eliminate at least one of these components so the crime's less likely to happen. Anytime we can do that, we're going to reduce our likelihood of being a victim, of being a crime victim. Victim precipitation. Oftentimes we hear that people do things that cause them to be victims or make them easier victims. I don't want you to be confused and think that I think anybody deserves to be a victim, because nobody does. But there are certain things sometimes we do that increase the likelihood of us being a victim. Sometimes that might be you leave stuff of value inside your car. Your cell phone, your laptop, your tablet, whatever it might be. You leave that in plain view in your car, so a criminal or the burglar is walking by and sees that, they'd be more likely to break into your car. Or perhaps you don't lock your car. So don't leave things of value in your car and always lock it. Maybe it's a homeowner who leaves doors, windows, or things like that unlocked. Again, simple things that they could be doing to prevent themselves from being victimized. Or maybe it's the business owner who doesn't provide adequate lighting. Simple things like lighting outside can make a big difference and get you a criminal activity. Or perhaps if some of you ride bicycles, make sure you're locking them up. Again, just a few examples of how we can easily prevent this. So what can you do? As Ross mentioned, we always want you to call, whether it be security or if it's warranted, calling us. Ross gave you the number to 589-3333. This is our non-emergency number for the police. And that's anywhere in Dubuque County, so not just in the city of Dubuque, Dubuque County. Obviously, you know, hopefully, to call 911 if it's an emergency. If you feel you're in immediate danger, or you feel somebody else is in immediate danger, or a crime is in progress, call 911. Don't worry about calling that number, just dial 911 on your phone right away. Poor choices in behavior. Here on the college campus, you may see it once in a while, people making poor choices, or maybe it's outside of college in their daily activities. A lot of times those choices we make will directly impact the likelihood of us being victimized. Locking doors and windows. It seems simple, it seems common sense. So many people in our community don't do it. They're overly trustworthy. They don't think it'll happen to them. Always get in the habit of locking all your doors, whether it's at your house, your apartment, your dorm, your vehicle that you drive. Lock that stuff up. Don't leave valuables, like I said. Sometimes leaving a valuable inside your car is the one thing that will prompt somebody to break into it. They see a computer in there, try the door, maybe the door is locked. That computer might be worth me breaking the window for. Even though that'll make a little bit of noise, that temptation might be too strong. Take all that stuff out, or at least hide it somewhere inside the vehicle where you can't see it in plain view. Okay? Record the information on your valuables, your TVs, your stereos, any electronic devices you have or items of value. Record the serial numbers on those. So if they are taken or stolen, we can better track them as law enforcement. We can hopefully find that stuff for you, or find out who's responsible for taking it. Don't provide personal information. We're kind of shifting gears a little bit from personal safety into cybercrime. Don't ever send money, wire money to anybody unless you're absolutely positive where it's going and who it's going to. People are getting scammed on a regular basis right here in Dubuque and across the country because they're getting tricked into sending money. Once you wire that money, it's most likely gone and you will not be able to get it back. If you leave your place, try and leave a light on, leave a TV on, leave something on inside that creates noise to give the impression that you're still there. Again, back to preventing those burglaries from happening. Try and make the people on the outside believe that there's still somebody inside. They're less likely to burglarize you. Sometimes we use timers to create that impression. Good locks, quality locks on your doors and windows. Where you live, if you don't have quality locks, contact. If you're the property owner, make sure you get that taken care of. Contact the landlord, the property manager, whoever it might be, get that taken care of. Put a peephole in your door. Know who's on the other side of the door knocking to get in before you open the door. Very helpful, very easy to put in, very cheap to put in. To be the difference between you letting somebody in that shouldn't be there or not. Don't ever allow anybody inside your home, your residence, your apartment, your dorm that you don't know or that you don't trust. Simply don't answer. Tell them I'm not answering the door. If they refuse to leave, you can contact security or you can contact the police department. I don't know what's going on here with my PowerPoint. Ask people who show up at your door for their credentials. Verify they are who they are. Call the actual place. You know, if it's a power company, call the power company. Say, hey, does this person work for you? Know who it is on the other side of the door. If you move, get your key. Your lock's rekeyed. If you move into a new place, close your curtains, blinds, and drapes, especially at night. Avoid common areas late at night or when there aren't others around. Like Ross was saying, have somebody with you. If you're going out, you don't maybe feel safe, take somebody with you. You increase your safety dramatically when you bring other people with you, regardless of what you're doing, regardless of activity. Stop your mail or paper delivery if you're going to be gone for a long time. If you're going back home for a while, have your mail either held at the post office or have somebody pick it up for you. Because what this tells everybody right here is that nobody's home, right? That's a good place to burglarize and break into. If you carry a purse, carry it close to your body. If somebody tries to take that away from you, let them have it. We can replace the purse and its contents, or guys' backpacks, whatever you carry. If somebody takes that from you, let them have it. It's better than being hurt or worse. Minimize the amount of money, credit cards you carry at all times. Only carry what you absolutely need. A lot of times we carry more stuff than we truly need. Avoid those areas that are conducive to criminal activity. You always hear about the dark alley, but it goes beyond that. Areas that are not densely populated, there's not a lot of human activity around. Avoid those areas if you can, or if you must go into those areas, take somebody with you at all times. If you're in an altered state of mind, whether it be not just drugs or alcohol, but maybe you're upset, maybe you're very confused, distracted, whatever it might be, that compromises your ability to know what's going on around you and to make good choices. So be aware of that. Do not go out and about if you're in those states of mind. Always be aware of what's going on around you. Have you guys seen the people that are walking around campus with their earbuds in, looking down at their phones, not paying attention to anything that's going on around them? We've all seen those people. Those people have become very favorable targets for the bad guys out there. So be aware of that. Know what's going on around you. Walk with a purpose. Act confident. Know where you're going. Carry an alarm of some kind. I saw somebody earlier that had a whistle on their jacket. Things like that can make noise. You can make noise. If you get in a situation where you need to draw attention to yourself to get help, yell, scream, do whatever you have to do. Blow a whistle. Have an alarm. Things like that can make a difference, alerting other people that you need help. Try to avoid wearing expensive jewelry, clothing, carrying expensive items. All those things are very tempting to the would-be criminal to accost you, maybe rob you, take that stuff from you. Self-defense. If you choose to carry some type of weapon, I'm not saying you should or should not. I'm here to tell you that if you do carry a weapon, what is your best weapon? Does anybody know what your best weapon is? Knife? How about your brain? Your brain, by making good choices, paying attention to what's going on, will keep you out of those situations oftentimes where you need a weapon, right? Your second best weapon? Your phone. Call for help. I'm not talking about knives, guns, pepper spray, all that stuff. Use your head to keep yourself out of those situations in the first place by making good choices. And if you do find yourself in a bad situation, call for help. Okay? Whether again it's security or police. If that's not an option, you may have to defend yourself. If you do have to defend yourself, make sure you have a weapon of some kind that you're proficient with. You know how to use safely, you know how to operate it, you know how to retain it. Every year in this country we have officers being killed with their own sidearms because they become disarmed and shot with their own guns. If you choose to defend yourself, make sure you're fully prepared to defend yourself. You understand the consequences of doing so, to include possibly getting arrested or maybe going to court, getting sued, things like that. Just like us, we have to be very careful with our use of force. If we don't, we get into trouble as well. Sometimes people start carrying weapons and think they're perfectly safe. They've increased their safety dramatically, when in reality, sometimes they actually compromise their safety because they don't know how to use that weapon appropriately. If you do carry pepper spray or anything like that, I gave my mom and sisters pepper spray when I first became a police officer. I got a good deal on some pepper spray. I said, hey, carry this. I want you to be safe. Within a week, it was at the bottom of their purse. They weren't going to find it when they needed it, If you do have something, even if it's just your keys, to use your alarm or defend yourself with your keys. Have that in your hand. Your phone, as you're walking around to your car or wherever, have your phone ready in case you need to call security or call us for help. That stuff won't do you any good if it's buried somewhere where you can't access it, okay? If you do find yourself ultimately in that bad situation where you have to defend yourself or fight for your life, you simply have to do that. And keep in mind that it's got to be you going home safely and not the bad guy. You have to fight as though your life may depend on it, because it might. Again, after you've exhausted every other option you have, make noise and fight as though your life depended on it. I don't anticipate that ever happening here, thankfully. We live in a very safe community. But again, we need to be aware that it could potentially happen. We need to be prepared to deal with that. I talked about having your cell phone readily available. 911, easy number to remember, right? But maybe you want to program the non-emergency number that I talked about before into your cell phone for non-emergencies. Keep in mind that when you're under extreme stress and duress, your hands start to shake, your fine motor skills are compromised. It all of a sudden becomes very difficult to operate, especially with today's smartphones. Sometimes they can be difficult to manipulate when you're in a good state of mind. But under stress or duress, sometimes those things become very difficult to operate. So be familiar with how your phone works. Park in well-lit areas when you're traveling. Have your keys ready like I talked about before. Visually check around your vehicle before exiting or before walking towards your vehicle. If you see suspicious activity or behavior, people, objects on or in or near your vehicle, get away from it and call somebody. Again, security or police. Travel with your doors locked. The only time your doors should be unlocked, whether you're at home or in your car, is when you're getting in and out, walking in and out. Otherwise, lock your doors, period. Okay? Simple rule. Allow yourself a little bit of space when you're driving. If you have to stop, don't pull right up to that car in front of you. It's not going to save that much time anyway to be right on that guy's bumper. Give yourself some space. We in law enforcement do that, so if we get a call, we can pull out easily and go to the call. You might need to do that if somebody approaches your vehicle, tries to get in your vehicle. If you have that little bit of space there, you can easily pull away, honk your horn, try to get help, get out of that situation. These tips I've given you today are only going to be useful to you if you use them. If you practice them religiously, do them. It's easy to get into routines, especially here in college. I know you guys are busy. I have a lot going on. You start getting into routines, you start to let your personal safety slip and slide. And you're going to forget some of these things. You may not practice them religiously. If that's the case, they're of little use to you. So keep that in mind as well. Report all criminal and suspicious activity. Again, a lot of what Ross said, you're hearing from me again, so hopefully that reinforces the importance of you helping not only security, but the police department keep an eye on the community, keep an eye on campus, help us keep it safe. If we all do that together, our police force and security force just got a lot bigger, didn't it? We all work together to keep everybody safe. We have all these extra eyes and ears out there helping us watch, keep an eye on things. Acknowledge the gift of fear. You guys ever find yourself in a situation where it doesn't feel right in your stomach and get the butterflies and the adrenaline? That's your body trying to tell you something. Hey, this may not be right. Something's wrong here. Pay attention to that. Don't just ignore it. Don't rationalize it away. Pay attention to that. It's your body trying to tell you something. Okay? Act on that. Get yourself out of that situation. Cyber safety, I'm going to touch on this again just briefly. I understand there's been some issues with Craigslist. And I'll give you a few ideas and some tips. You guys may have heard a lot of this already, so I'm going to move through it pretty quick. We all know to protect our electronic devices with security software, keep it updated. Work securely if you go somewhere where there's a wireless network. Make sure it's secure, obviously. Easily compromised in some cases. Peer-to-peer file and file sharing networks. Try to avoid those if at all possible. I realize in some cases you may not be able to, you may be required to use those. Social networking sites, use those with care. A lot of bad things can happen on social networks, social media, if it's not used properly and used safely. Again, a lot of this you've probably already heard. Skeptical of email and instant messaging. If you have any doubt as to who that message or that email or that text is from, don't respond to it, delete it, get out of it. Don't click on links within suspicious emails. And keep in mind how easy it is to change an email by one character, maybe a lowercase l to a number 1, and all of a sudden you've created an entirely different email address that looks like the legitimate one. Just be very, very careful. If you're suspicious at all, delete it, get away from it. Be wary of sharing your PC or any of your electronic devices. Be very cognizant of that and dangers that might be associated with it. Strong passwords, we all know to create strong passwords, different passwords, changing them frequently. Limit the information you give out online or anywhere, really, on the phone, any other venue like that. Be very careful. Again, just like when you're sending money, make sure you're absolutely positive where that's going. That information, that account number, that money, be absolutely positive. Sometimes you can take a few extra minutes, make a few phone calls, or jump on the online and do a little bit of research, and you'll find out whether the cause is legitimate, the inquiry is legitimate. So be very careful there. Last but not least, if you conduct any type of business online, whether it's purchasing items for whatever reason, and I'm talking about Craigslist, eBay, regardless of the provider or the venue, dating online, any type of online correspondence, be very, very cautious. If you do make those purchases, I recommend not ever buying anything online, especially on places like Craigslist, unless you can actually physically see it. Take a car, for example. I will never buy a car or anything of significant expense online without seeing it first, or from somebody that I absolutely know is a trusted seller. eBay has some parameters in place that makes it a little bit safer. Craigslist, if you go somewhere to meet somebody, or they say they're going to be there, or they say they have this car and they don't, a couple easy ways to avoid that is demand to see the car in person. I was on Craigslist just the other day looking for a car for my daughter. I saw this great deal. I'm like, oh, this car looks, it's almost too good to be true, right? And when it feels too good to be true, it almost always is too good to be true. I sent this person a text, or yeah, I actually called. I didn't send a text. I called them, left a message for them. They had legitimate voicemail set up. I left a message and say, hey, I'd like to find out more about this car. I get a text message about an hour later saying, provide me with your email address and this other stuff. And I said, where's the car at? It says Dubuque on Craigslist. I said, it's in Dubuque. I live in Dubuque. Where's it at? I can come see it in person. Never heard back from them again. It's because the car doesn't exist, right? It's a picture on the website. They hijacked that picture. They're saying they got it. Hey, send me $500. I'll save it for you. Or they'll come up with some ploy to get you to send them money, or to meet them, perhaps even worse, and then the criminal act occurs. Okay, so just be very, very cautious. Rarely happens. It's so easily avoidable. So much of what we're talking about today is so easy to avoid if you just take a few extra steps, take a few extra minutes of your day-to-day lives. Scams, we talked about this a little bit already. Very prevalent here across the country, across the world, obviously scams. Too many different types of scams to talk about today. The prevention is usually the same. It comes in any type of venue, whether it's snail mail, text, email, whatever it might be. Targets very often are elderly, very often are college students too. Okay. It's virtually impossible for us to investigate these types of scams because they originate generally on the other side of the world. In a lot of cases are places where we can't effectively investigate. Very difficult to track, very difficult to prove. So we go on the proactive side of this and try and prevent it from happening here locally in the first place. We here at the Dubuque Police Department, when we learn of new scams, we try to get the word out to people to inform you. A couple ways. Through media releases, obviously. Notify Me is a service. If you go on the city website, that brochure I passed around has information about Notify Me. If you want to be in constant communication with us, every time I do a press release for our department, I send it out via Notify Me too, so you get it on your smartphone instantly, or email or text, so be aware of that. Financial institutions do a very good job too of warning people before they wire money or make dramatic, significant withdrawals. But that's just another layer of safety. I went through that very, very quickly. I have information on virtually any crime prevention topic you can think of. If you would like some tips on how to prevent burglary, just general personal safety tips like we talked about here today, anything like that, again, contact me. I can usually send it to you electronically. Again, our top priority, just like with security and just like the campus as a whole, UD as a whole, is to make you have a safe, comfortable, welcoming learning environment. And that's, as my chief, you saw in the video there, my chief guarantees that's our top priority, and I guarantee it is as well. Again, if you have questions that you either don't want to ask here or don't feel comfortable asking, just give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll try to help you out any way I can. That's it. How we're doing on time.
Yeah, we're good, Scott. Are there any questions? I told you to be thinking about any questions you might have.
Where are the most dangerous places here in Dubuque?
The most dangerous places here in Dubuque, I usually tell people that the further east you go, if you go downtown, there's been a lot of work done here recently to make the downtown, revitalize the downtown, make it safer, make it a better place to live. Most of our firearms violence that we've seen recently has been around the area of 20th Street, along that stretch, 19th, 20th Street. I'll be honest with you, take my family downtown on a regular basis to go out to eat, to go to some of the festivals and activities, farmers markets, stuff like that downtown. I don't think downtown is a dangerous place, as most people would say, but we are seeing an increase in violence in terms of like gun violence, things like that. But generally, it's bad guy versus bad guy. It's generally not an innocent civilian who's making good choices, doing the right thing, being victimized by those guys. It's usually they're going after each other. That doesn't mean that you don't have to be aware of what's going on around you, pay attention to what's going on around you, and try to avoid those situations or those areas. You don't have a legitimate reason to be there. But for the most part, we tend to see a little bit more violence the further east you go. You get down into the downtown and north end area. That's not to say violence can't occur out here on the west side of town either, up on the hill either. It can. So it's important to be aware of that no matter where you're at.
As I am foreign students, can I hold a gun?
You would have to go to the sheriff's office and get a permit. Now, and again, I don't recommend, that's entirely up to you. We're fortunate in this country to have that right to bear arms, and that's a personal choice you have to make. Like I said before when we were talking about weapons though, if you choose to carry any type of weapon, whether it's a gun, knife, pepper spray, whatever, make sure you know how to use it, make sure you know how to use it safely. We have a lot of people in our community who legally carry weapons. My concern is that not all of them have been properly trained to do so. They don't know how to use the weapon effectively or efficiently, things like that. So it's a major, major decision to make. It's a very important decision to make, and it's not one to take lightly. Anytime you might inflict pain or harm or death on somebody else, that's obviously a big deal. You need to make sure you're justified in doing so.
And I would like to remind all of the students that carrying weapons on our campus is absolutely zero tolerance forbidden.
Well, there you go. I mean, that might make the decision easy right there.
Keep
You
it
can't
off
carry them on
campus.
campus, so that makes the decision a little bit easier. But Jackson Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again,
I hear a lot of people they say you should leave the space. I don't know about that.
Again, it depends on the stretch of Jackson Street we're talking about. You start getting around the 17th to 20th Street. What's that? 28th, so you're way up the further north ends. I wouldn't be overly concerned. If you're a family member of mine, I wouldn't have any problem with you living there. I get a little bit more concerned as you get further south you go, like around the 17th to 20th range in that general area. A lot of good people living in those neighborhoods. There's a few bad people that go in those neighborhoods and do bad things. I'm not trying to paint a bad picture of that area. We just have a few bad people doing bad things. And when they start bringing guns out, and they can't hit what they're shooting at, it's another problem. You start having stray bullets flying around. And it does happen once in a while, unfortunately, but all too often that area gets a bad reputation. The perceptions are inaccurate, but nonetheless, there are some areas we're concerned about down there. And you'll always see police cars in that area. We hope that deters the criminal activity and keeps it a little bit safer, but again, anytime you go to an area and you think, I'm perfectly safe here, there's no crime in this area, you're lying to yourself. Don't believe that. Okay, there's always that possibility. You should never let your guard down. Just be aware. Be prepared to deal with it. Other questions? I appreciate your attention. Like I said, please don't ever hesitate to contact me or the police department if you need assistance. Okay?